Hello, my name is Nebi Fekube, and I'm from Bella, Niger. It's so lovely to meet you all. And my first question is for the director, Kunle Afolayan. The dialogue style of the movie is very interesting throughout the series. How did you manage to put that together?
Well, I mean, first, naturally, the entire series is screenplayed. So when it's screenplayed, it means actors are assigned lines and what they are to say. But sometimes when you get on set or during rehearsal, if you put these actors together and you have them run their lines, if the flow is not too great or not natural, you can always change it on set. And also, the original script was written in English, and we had to first, translate to Yoruba. But again, as a director, I think you have to be open to, um, you know, changing or amending or editing dialogue when necessary. Sometimes you consult the writer, and sometimes you can just take your creative license as a director, and that was what we did with this. Quite a number of, if I show you the original script, and then you watch the final film, you'll get to see a lot of, quite a number of differences.
Thank you so much. So my second question to you is, what part of the or your kingdom setting, yeah, and the atmosphere did you find most intriguing and interesting to capture on screen?
In the series is set in 5 cities, not just Oyo, all right? And what I did as a director and production designer, because I also was a production designer, to ensure that the different cities come with different feel and look in terms of landscape, in terms of the design, the architectural designs of the building, in terms of colors, in terms of aesthetics generally. But then when we did the film, we had to first go to research what Oyo Ile, which was Oyo Kingdom, looked like back then in the 16th, 17th centuries. And there were big sketches here and there, and we tried to replicate that and added a few things to it, and that was what informed the style and architectural design we did for the Oyo Empire. But for Ilu Aje, for example, I decided it's going to be in like Savannah area, and then because we built that with bamboo, and then there's a waterfall right behind. So this was all to like differentiate one town from the other. Ojuma in the film and even in the series is built on the mountain. So it was played that Oyo people live on the ground, but Ojuma people live on the hills. And then you have Ilu Aje. We have Ewegbo. Ewegbo, for example, the structures are square, but then the color of the wall is like silver and not mud and brown like Oyo. So these are things you need to understand, and you have to be intentional about it when designing, your location and set and all.
Thank you. So my next question is to you, Ma. What did you think? Your character was really independent and resourceful. What part of her makeup did you relate to the most?
Independent.
Okay, I don't want to answer.
Don't answer for me.
No, it's okay. I'm just.
She's very, very independent. One thing about her, she's on her lane, and she's a decision maker. She knows what she wants, and she's a fantastic. She's epitome of a woman that knows the definition of hardworking. He's a dictator. She doesn't want to be under anybody. She calls the shots. She knows when to stop. She knows when to go on. And that trace in her, I have it. So I love it so much.
Thank you.
You have it in real life.
I do.
No, yeah, it's
Thank you.
I do.
So yes, sir. How did you approach playing Bashiru's complex character, a power-hungry man and a fearless warrior?
I think in terms of approach, I think there are two parts to it. There is what I did in order to find the role, and there is the finding the role. And what I did to find the role is fairly standard in terms of what you do. You, as an actor, you go out, you get as much CDs, you research, you pull all, as much information together, whether on the web or on various medias. And I watched all of previous interpretation of the role, because it's not a new role, it's a role that most people are familiar with. But one of the first things I noticed when I looked at it, all of the various actors, great actors that have played the role in the past, is I noticed that there are similarities in the way in which they've gone about it. And I had a brief discussion. I don't know if the director remembers, but I had a brief discussion about with him about what is how I'm going to approach it. Now, I think he's great. You already know he's a great director. He didn't try to kind of push to go in one direction or not. He basically allowed me the creative freedom to come up with whatever I think it should be, and then we can adjust, as we go along. So those are the standard things, just look at what everyone have done in the past. But one key thing that I decided was that with this series, I'm definitely going to take a break from the way in which the role has been interpreted in the past and interpret it in a totally different way. So when you watch the movie, and if you go and watch any previous performance, you notice that it's very, very different in the way in which it's played. Now, in terms of how I found it, that is what I did to find it. And then how I found it, that cannot be explained because that's deep within you. That's an individual thing. It cannot be explained.
Thank you. Director, how did you approach the casting of the series?
Well, some of them were already part of the film. And for the series, first, I look for people that will not give me problem. Sourcing talent is one. But then, look, in Nigeria, if you want to shoot, everybody is used to, like, shooting in 5 days, and they want to leave your set, and they want to go to another set. So first, you need to look for people who will be willing to stay on set for 4 weeks to 8 weeks. And no matter how talented the person is, if the person is going to disrupt your set, then you have to worry. Most of the cast members are people I have relationship with, and quite a number of them I've worked with before. And when you carry a script and you're reading, or you carry a book, when you read the description of a character, the first thing that appears to you is the look, the physical appearance of the person. And then you then check, okay, who has got this talent, or who has got this trait, or who can pull this off. And sometimes I throw it open. Like, I have a creative team in the studio at work. And what we do is when the script is ready, even before the final draft, I will tell them, okay, guys, bring your suggestion. So sometimes I give my team, the freedom to make suggestions. Of course, the onus rests on me as the casting director to make final decision. But if you look at the series or you look at the film, you agree with me that, it was a balanced cast. Another thing is, you can't make it about one strong actor. You need to find people who can, who feed off one another, all right? Not having one strong actor and then you bring this one who can measure up and, and all of that. So, and it's something I've done over time. And another thing I try to do is, balance. Acting does not have a retirement. So naturally, we'll look for the older actors, the veterans, and then we look for those that have been around for some time, and then we look for newcomers, and then, we discover new talents. So I'm always conscious of blending all of this together. But most importantly, before we sign anybody on, even though sometimes, people will pretend that, don't worry, I'm cool, and then they get on set and form diva. So we always would try to avoid that. But again, the people who work with on this shoot, for me, 99% of them I want to work with, for as long as we exist.
Thank you so much. And then my last question to you, Ma. What does it feel like to work with the director, Kunle Afolayan?
Like eyes on the cake. Kunle is the brother. I don't call him Kunle. I call him Dekunle. When I see him as a friend, as a brother, someone that cares a lot for people, to work with him, first of all, I'm privileged to know him.
No,
And
you're not, you're not.
I am. I'm very, very privileged. Kunle.
Okay.
And with him, I am protected. With him, I'm safe. Well looked after. When it comes to, I'm a Nigerian, I always tell people that I'm a typical African woman. And there's something that I so much love as an African woman, or a Nigerian, an African, respect. You get it from him no matter what. And for that, I will go extra mile with him. So I'm very, very happy knowing him and be part of this.
Thank you, Ma. Sir,
Just to say, before you go, I do agree with her, by the way.
thank you. Without giving away any spoiler, what aspect of the series, what part of the series are you looking forward to for the audience to see?
I think I'm looking forward to the audience's reaction to the whole series, yeah, not just a particular part, the whole conception. Of course, some of the areas that appeals to me may not appeal to an ordinary person, which is how a story comes together, how that gets translated into what you see in the movie. It's something that fascinates me. And it's something that has been done brilliantly here in a way that you've probably never seen before, particularly in Nigeria. If you listen to what he's talked about how the cast ensemble was put together, and you look at someone as unique as Oba here, you start to see that there are some fascinating, interesting things that's going to come out. If you're pushing me to pick on one thing, I think it's really hard. It's the whole thing that I'm looking forward to seeing. I haven't seen it myself, just so you know. So I will be seeing it the same time as you. And I'm really looking forward to seeing it because I think the audience are in for a treat with this particular one.
Thank you. Why did you choose to make this a series?
Why did I choose to make it?
A series.
Well, because it's our story. And really, if we're not careful, someone else will come, tell the story, and misrepresent not just the culture, misrepresent the entire race and the entire people of not just Nigeria, but, the continent. It's something I've worked on for over 7 years. And it's something that, and I think what we just did is the beginning of the story. I think this is something that is going to continue. I did an interview after the film when I announced that we're going to do this series, and I said, look, this might be bigger than Game of Thrones. And our people now, especially those Twitter people, they will go and say, Game of Thrones caused this to make. Does even have the, but then when I said that, it's because one, I'm capitalizing and relying on the original authentic story, African stories that we have. And that we have not even scratched the surface. So I did this because it's a good representation of who we are as Africans, as Nigerians, as Yoruba, as human beings. And then at some point, this is going to go from, and I was having that discussion yesterday, to say at some point, people will speak English in the series. At some point, we're going to get to the colonialist, era. We're going to get to, so it's a lot. It's beyond me. It's going to outlive me, so mark this day, mark today's day.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.